I'm trying to figure out what the resistance is on this issue and this ordinance. I hope there is no resistance. You know, we're trying to do it for the betterment of our children. And I think it's too important. It was put on in December as an emergency. I understand that. Now we're middle of February, and I understand that there need to be some things worked out. Okay, some things worked out. But I know it was tabled, and I would please ask this council, you know, let's take this off the table. Let's amend it. Mr. Harvey?
Yeah, it's been rewritten, Aaron. It's on the agenda tonight. Rewritten wholly as ordinance, where is it? 2607.
Okay.
And it's had two sections added to it. We took it a step further. Rather than just schools, we also added public spaces where children gather. Nate's got it for you.
Okay.
So there's a section we expanded it from just schools to those other areas where children gather. And then we took into account the Board of Elections and the superintendent's recommendation. She told us, the superintendent, that anytime a sex offender would be present because of educational decision-making rights for the student, that they would be accompanied by the school resource officer. And we put that in the legislation, so.
Well, I think that's great, and I appreciate you telling me that, Craig. Like I said, you know, I was just concerned that this was gonna, once something goes to the table, I was concerned it was gonna pass on. I did not want that. That's why I come here to talk tonight to you guys, because I'm concerned about our children. I know you are as well. And I really appreciate that you've amended this and put this onto other activities. Like, for instance, this past weekend I was at a birthday party and at Spare Time, and that place was packed with children. And as of right now, there's nothing that prohibits sex offenders from going in there and sitting down and just eating popcorn or buying pizza and doing whatever they want to watch them. You know, so I hope that's part of this amendment.
We could regulate public spaces.
Right.
And so those, like Splash Park,
Yep.
public
I
spaces.
talked about that the last time.
We have included that. And
Well, thank you very much.
I think
I
it was
appreciate
just a
you.
procedural, hold up. Like January, that's what Any other audience participation?
Hello, I'm Terry in Blizzard, 710 Park Avenue, Scoutmaster Troop, Girls Troop 106. I wanted to make you guys aware in the community that we are having our annual Scout Sunday and our annual Spaghetti Dinner this Sunday, February 15th at Central Christian Church. This is down there on near 7th, right off 7th, right by the high school, Ironton High School. Wanted the community to be aware of that.
what time is it?
What time?
What time is it?
We'll have our Scout Sunday at 10:30, but other people have churches of their own, so we probably will start serving afterward about noon. Serving the spaghetti, and then the price for that is $8 or 2 for $15. And this year is our 100th anniversary.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Oh, I had research.
Oh, I got shorted. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Don't see any other audience participation. Oh, all right.
Good evening. My name is Gretchen Claypool. I'm the Executive Director of the Briggs Lawrence County Public Library. I was asked to come this evening because of the first legislation ordinance discussed at the podium this evening, because the library was added to this legislation and the library wasn't contacted concerning this legislation or this ordinance beforehand. I understand the purpose, I think. my principal question is, what responsibility does this put on the library to comply or to make it easier to comply? What possible checks and background checks and other necessary items would we need to institute or modify not to run afoul of this ordinance? GRETCHENCLAYPOOL.
Thank you, thank you.
No problem.
I don't think the intent of the legislation is to cause any more work or burden on the public library, in my personal opinion.
No, certainly, I understand, it's just, we currently have, for instance, we currently have a policy where any employees that interact with children regularly have to be background checked on a schedule. In order not to run afoul of this ordinance, would we be expected to modify this to include all employees?
I'm gonna refer to Nate. Nate, do you have any guidance on what?
Not as far as your policies. I can't give any guidance as far as the library policies, but as far as the ordinance is written, if there is a sex offender that is in the children's library area, the police can be called. They can be cited for violation of this ordinance, and then go to court with those penalties that are listed on the ordinance, which I think is a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
First,
It's an M1.
misdemeanor 1.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's an M1.
Yeah.
I looked. We're just making sure that we're involved in the process, since we're involved in the language of the ordinance now.
I appreciate that.
And we want to make
I
sure.
think in talking to the people in the community, I think all public areas is something that one would consider, and libraries was one of those. I know people tend to send their
We tend
children to go, and I'm not saying you don't take your security.
No, we tend to segregate our children areas in all of our
Yes,
facilities.
and my kids go there, and it's a great area. Yeah. But I think public areas is one place that one may be included, and libraries is one. I mean, I don't think there's an intent to try to set public library
I'm
policy.
vaguely concerned about the ability of patrons to call the police to come to our facility without our knowledge for a variety of reasons which may not be pure in nature. That does concern me, but we can certainly look at ways to help that process.
Did you say you don't want people from the library calling the police?
No, sir. I'm concerned about patrons specifically calling the police on other patrons while in the facility as part of this ordinance, for not the reasons of actually protecting children. For instance, we have many parents who come to the library with a facilitator to visit their children during custody disputes.
Okay.
And they often are high tension meetings, but they decide to do so in a safe public space because obviously their divorces or their custody agreements are too contentious to be contained in a home. So we are concerned about this being an encouragement for people to falsely call the police on one another, just in our particular situation. But I think that's something that we're willing to deal with. It's just very, very rare that, I mean, we've had the police called and we don't know why. And there's a prank calling. So we are always sensitive to that issue.
Sure. I've got a question from Mayor and then Sarah.
Yeah, to her point, reading this now, I'm like,
I'll return.
I would also prefer that it, come from the person in charge at that building. It says, like, and it also be written, I mean, it doesn't necessarily say that anyone violating, so if the library decided to allow them, does that make them in violation? Or does it make the sex offender a violation? Because we, like, yeah, what we would prefer is, like, if the school has someone in violation, they would call us, tell us it's violation.
Well, ultimately, anybody can notify the police when a criminal act occurs for any reason.
Right.
So it's not
All
just
right,
the
but is it
library.
written that way, though? Does it hold the school responsible for allowing
That's
it?
all our ordinances.
Let's say if no one calls, and they just unknowingly allow
Well, there's no liability to the library on that.
Is there some, all right, because it just says anyone violating this ordinance, and it said that they're prohibited from being.
It would be the sex offender.
All right, so this follows just the individual.
Correct.
I think those are worried, right? Maybe. Yeah.
But I mean, anybody can call the police when they see a crime being committed. This would be a crime that was being committed, so. As far as who calls, anyone can do that. Now, to report a false crime is also a crime in itself.
That's not a good prank to play right there. Sarah?
I just wanted to clarify that this would not ask, like, the library to, they're not gonna be responsible for looking at pictures and identifying people, and they're not gonna be responsible for calling, I just wanted to clarify that, and, yeah. So it shouldn't put any extra burden on that.
That's what we don't wanna do, is put
Yeah.
any extra burden on the library. But like Craig said, if, anybody can call to report a crime anywhere you're at, truthfully.
And with the splash pad, there's not someone there monitoring it, so it would be reliant on members of the public calling.
Right.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, like my understanding of this just by making it an actual law for our city, it gives our officers the ability to do something about it. Whereas right now, our officers wouldn't have any ability to do something about that, correct?
Yes, great.
That's exactly right. And this really just gives these public spaces additional resources because, quite frankly, our police officers and the county police officers are aware of most of these folks. And so it gives them the ability to say, yep, you're out of here. And we can settle it in court, or you can wear these bracelets. But
I do have a request, if we could maybe create a map of these public spaces after this ordinance is passed and have it out there so people will know where they have the ability to call if they see sex offender, or, it just might be helpful for them.
Simple sign on the parks or whatever.
Yeah, just some kind of, where people know they have that ability.
I agree. Everybody good on discussion? All right, any other audience participation? Saying, Mark, you look like you're getting up.
Oh, no, I'll stretch.
Moving on to ordinances. Marta, would you please give ordinance 2607 first reading by title only?
Prohibiting registered sex offenders from being present on various public properties and declaring an emergency, first reading.
Craig?
move to suspend the rules on ordinance 2607 and give it second and third reading by title only.
Nate? Second. We have a motion by Craig and a second by Nate to suspend the rules for ordinance 2607. Roll call, please.
Brown.
Aye.
Hany.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Simmons.
Aye.
The rules have been suspended for ordinance 2607. Marta, would you please give second and third reading by title only?
Prohibiting registered sex offenders from being present on various public properties and declaring an emergency, second reading. Prohibiting registered sex offenders from being present on various public properties and declaring an emergency, third reading.
Craig?
Move to adopt ordinance 2607.
Nate, second. We have a motion by Craig and a second by Nate to adopt ordinance 2607. Roll call, please.
Brown.
Aye.
Hany.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Simmons.
Aye.
Ordinance 2607 has been adopted. Moving on to ordinance 2608, would you please give that first reading?
Prohibiting unattended dogs and or cats being left outside during inclement weather, first reading.
I have some discussion about this. I appreciate the ordinance. One thing that when I was kind of researching ORC regarding this, and what I may have missed it in here, but ORC, and I guess ORC supersedes anything we do anyway, but there is an allotment of inches off the ground that an outdoor, like just a dog house or a cat house or whatever you want to call it, it was like, I think it's at least 2 inches off of the ground. I would like to include that in this, if we can amend it and do we have to since it's in ORC? Would we have to amend our own?
Yes, because yours is more restrictive.
I think you could be more restrictive.
That's what I said. Yeah. This
So
is
we
more
could be
restrictive.
more, is it?
Well, ORC says it has to be at least 2 inches off the ground.
And ours doesn't. It
Ours
just
does
says
not.
all. So ours is more restrictive, which is okay, right?
Correct.
So we're good, we wouldn't have to amend ours.
No, but yours is more restrictive. So if you want to amend it to include that, you would have to amend, you would have to put it in. If you want to include, so this ordinance does not provide for that. It's a more restrictive ordinance than the Ohio Revised Code.
No,
You're allowed
in
to-
the ORC, it states
I
that
know
it has
that.
to be.
Yeah, it states it has to be. This doesn't state that it has to be, so it doesn't have to be in the city. Because you're allowed to make a more restrictive ordinance than the ORC. So if you want it in there, then you're going to.
This, well, ORC is more restrictive than.
We can't make it less restrictive.
That's what I'm saying. So ORC is stating this has to be worse. Ours does not include that.
Right, what does the ORC say?
It has to be 2 inches, something about, I can't say word for word, but some type of insulation. I believe it's 2 inches off the ground for the dwelling.
So that's less restrictive than this. This is more restrictive, which I'm saying you're allowed to do it.
Because this is restricting.
This
dog
is
houses
altogether, yeah.
Well,
Well,
okay,
in terms
so,
of income.
okay, so, and then it says, ORC states that it's an hour at a time. So.
This state's an hour too, I believe.
It is.
Okay, so I'm not, I'm saying the 2 inches off the ground is already in ORC. Do you want it? Should I?
Do you want it do you want that to be part of the law?
Yeah, but it should already be, shouldn't it?
Right, but this is more restrictive, so.
Okay, all right, yes. So I will amend, sorry.
That's all right.
I apologize.
It's confusing.
All right, so I make a motion to amend section 2 and state that the dwelling would be at least 2 inches off the ground at the end. Outdoor doghouse or similar structure.
I think that, I'll let you, because you've already, I mean.
I was just gonna say,
Sponsor that, thank you.
second that.
And does that language work? The dog or cat shall be considered outside or regardless of the.
And said doghouse or similar structure shall be at least 2 inches.
Shall be at least 2 inches off the ground. Okay, so, I was having trouble with my reading there.
You and your
You
cat
want
Rob.
to excuse.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'm not wrapping my head around this correctly either. That the last sentence in section 2 says the dog and/or cat shall be considered outside regardless of access to an outdoor dog house or similar structure. So I guess I'm asking why the height of the dog house matters if we're saying that it doesn't matter if it has access to the dog house in these conditions. Am I reading that correctly, Brigham? Or okay.
Well, but they can be outside. What I've read is that it's an hour at a time. So actually ours, and another thing that I wanted to discuss about was ORC states 20 degrees and ours is
I was gonna say, that's 32. animals run hotter than.
Well, that's kind of what I was that was gonna be my next point of discussion. Now, another thing that I was reading states that certain types of dogs obviously are bred for certain types of climates. Obviously a husky or a Bernese mountain dog is going to be able to handle, below 32 degrees. Sarah?
I talked to the Humane Society and the dog, not the dog warden, but the humane officer, just asking them about this, and they suggested for that language that we say, instead of putting a certain degree, saying the appropriate temperature, not above or below the appropriate temperature for the animal's respective size, coat length, and breed.
Yes, because I was going to say, I like this, but what I see from this is what I've already heard. It's going to be someone calling when it's 31 degrees with the dog they hate next door.
And chihuahuas shouldn't be out there when it's 45 degrees,
Correct.
So if you amend it to say the appropriate temperature for the breeds.
How do you police that?
That's not,
Right.
It's very vague.
And that's another question is, are our police officers going to have to determine that, or do
discretion.
they call?
And you would be able to determine, I think, if it's a cruelty situation.
I shouldn't have looked at ORC. Also, it had something to the effect of water, their water bowl or water source had to be, obviously not frozen.
Can we make it based on the National Weather Service's determination if it's an extreme?
Well, okay, so.
That way it's.
All right, so that is actually an ORC. It is severe weather, so this means tornadoes.
Which we've been under for 2 weeks.
Right.
So or if it's extreme heat, it's an advisory.
Can we, are you good for some type of strategic planning meeting or something to kind of work through this?
It's on me.
Yeah, I don't know. Craig, you have a question now.
Some of the things that you're worried about, ORC already addresses, so this is just things up in the city of Ironton that are beyond that.
Okay.
I think, like, you're talking about water bowls and tornadoes and whatever, but that ORC already addresses that, so we don't have to.
Right.
So is that if we did keep it at the current temperatures, the frozen water bowls would be non-pointing.
Right. Mayor Troy, sorry.
I was gonna say, I think the original language with this was focused on officers being able to use discretion, and the fact that someone calling on a 31-degree husky that is enjoying the snow was not really the point. But
That's our people, though.
That's fair. That's fair. But that over the last 2 weeks with the weather we have had, I've had people calling me saying, "Hey, what can the city do about this? I'm watching a dog die in my neighbor's backyard, and don't know the steps to take."
Yeah.
I think having one of our own, at least if we did cite someone, we collect the money and not the state.
Well, right. Chief, can we kind of keep this ordinance? I'm glad you're here, and kind of let the officers decide.
We got a humane agent for a reason. If we run into the problem with dogs before because the county dog warden won't come in the city,
Right.
do anything.
Well, I agree.
And
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
We
do. I know
talk
exactly
all
what
the
you
time,
mean.
but we can't do anything with dogs. We got nowhere to take them.
well, and speaking to the humane agent today, they were saying that defining appropriate shelter might be helpful in here, because according to state law, appropriate shelter can be underneath a car or underneath a porch. So if you define appropriate shelter and you're still relying on it, and said he'd be happy to be added to this ordinance too, if you needed someone other than the dog warden.
Well, that was gonna be my fourth point, that the Lawrence County Dog Warden doesn't do much in Ironton.
They refuse to come to Ironton to deal with dog security. They told us that. And we don't have our own city dog warden. We got the main agent, which is Drew Artis. We can get a hold of him at times, but that's if you can get a hold of him.
Robbie.
Sarah, you mentioned adding the humane agent to the language on that. I think that would be a helpful thing to give options.
We put animal control officer and everything else. Like the cat ordinance that you guys adopted
Yeah.
and everything else. So it kind of could apply to either who, or a designee.
Okay, can we agree to just move on and give this a second? Talk a little bit about it.
You made a motion, right?
I didn't make a motion, right? I just made okay, so I made a motion to include, 2 inches off the ground. So we've got a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Brown,
I think we determined it's unnecessary, so I'm going to say no.
It's good. I don't know, I don't even know what I'm voting on, honestly, I don't know anything.
To amend ordinance 2608 to include in section 2 shall be at least 2 inches off the ground. Shall be at least 2 inches. All right.
Yeah, yeah, so.
who made a motion?
Robbie made a motion.
No, I think it was you than me, I thought.
I made a motion, then Troy, yes, sorry. No, I was looking at Robbie. That's right. Yep. To amend section 2.
If you're
at
going
the
to keep
end.
amending it, just rescind it.
Yeah. Tell you,
It's okay.
the animal ordinances always get me, man. I'm talking about cats, now the dog. Moving on. Mark. Would you please give ordinance 2609 first reading by title only?
An ordinance of the City Council of Ironton, Ohio, to amend the Ironton zoning code to define and add specific requirements for data centers and data center accessory uses. First reading.
Jacob?
Just discussion. So we had our strategic planning committee meeting over the weekend and looked at this holistically and felt like this addressed, the concerns that we had, with data centers. So that's just, I wanted to let anyone know that was curious.
Craig?
Do we need to refer this to
It's gotta
planning?
be referred to the planning commission, that's number one. Number two, I put the emergency language, that's gotta come out, it can't be passed as an emergency. That's
Craig?
Move to amend ordinance 2609 to remove the emergency language and, well, that first, I guess, then, and refer it to the planning commission.
Word. Oh, all right.
Oh, I see.
Jacob?
I'll second that.
So we've got a motion by Craig and a second by Jacob to amend and just exclude section 14
Yes.
and refer ordinance 2609 to the planning commission.
And just a caveat on that, I think it's 30 days from the referral that you can call public hearing, so you.
Well, they have 30 days to act on the ordinance. Then they report to the city council favorable or unfavorable, then you schedule a public hearing. After they report to you, yes.
Okay. I'm good.
Nate? Discussion.
I want to say thank you to Hawk and Simmons and Haney, you guys sponsored that, and I'm sorry I didn't make the meeting this weekend, but thank you for collaborating and putting this together. When this AI data center, the discussion came up, this is what I was hoping that would come up as far as a comprehensive approach to it. So thank you for all your efforts on that, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I was about to say, can you give me some time, because they all resigned after the last thing we put them through. Most of them are business owners,
Okay,
not trying to be caught in
I got
the,
you.
So I have to figure out how many spots I'm gonna fill.
Okay. So we have a motion by Craig and a second by Jacob to amend ordinance 2609 and refer it to finance, or refer it to planning commission. Roll call, please.
Brown.
Aye.
Hany.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Simmons.
Ordinance 2609 is being referred to planning commission. Next on the agenda, we have ordinance 2601. Marla, would you please give that third reading?
Establishing permit fees and declaring an emergency, first reading.
Okay.
That's 2610. That was 2610. It's okay.
2610, sorry.
She read it. It was 2610.
Yep, we're good, sorry. I
Question.
went out of order. Craig, I'm out of order.
Since this is since this only, it establishes a fee, does our CPI get automatically attached to that?
I'm not sure we discussed that, but I did not put a CPI increaser in here.
We comprehensively did that for all scheduled fees, correct?
Yes.
Yes, it should be, this is, after this year, the CPI should affect it, we do that comprehensively with all fees. However, in our discussions with Mark Dickus, this is more of a catch-up, because none of them have been updated since 1997. So these are more reflective, to where we're at. There'll be CPI to follow.
And that was, these rates are still typically below any of our neighboring communities. And I did want to reiterate that these have not been changed since 1997, so we're talking about almost 30 years. Yeah, so I think this was, and I appreciate Mark Diggins for catching it. Thank you. Appreciate you. Greg?
I'll move to suspend the rules and give ordinance 2610 second and third reading by title only.
Nate?
I'll second.
We have a motion by Craig and a second by Nate to suspend the rules for ordinance 2610 and give it a second and third reading by title only. Roll call, please, Mara.
Brown.
Aye.
Hany.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Simmons.
Rules have been suspended for ordinance 2610. Marta, would you please give that second and third reading by title only?
Establishing permit fees and declaring an emergency, second reading. Establishing permit fees and declaring an emergency, third reading.
Craig?
Move to adopt ordinance 2016.
Nate? Second. Have a motion by Craig and a second by Nate to adopt ordinance 2610. Roll call, please.
Brown.
Aye.
Hany.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Simmons.
Ordinance 2610 has been adopted. Moving along to ordinance 2601. Marta, would you please give that third reading?
Imposing a moratorium upon AI data centers and declaring an emergency, third reading.
Craig?
Move to adopt ordinance 2601.
Jacob?
I'll second that.
Have a motion by Craig and a second by Jacob. Roll call, please.
Brown.
Sorry, discussion. So with this moratorium, is it, I'm sorry, I don't have the actual moratorium language there. Does it fall if
Once that process is over.
2609 would be adopted?
It does not, we'll have to
Can
repeal
we
it.
amend it?
Yeah, we can repeal it. Or we can amend it.
Could we amend it now? I mean, that'd be simple and save us a step.
I'll support it if it's amended to reflect that, but not, I'm not gonna support it.
I'll rescind my motion to adopt.
Craig rescinds his motion.
So that we can amend it.
Okay, so which agenda was that?
I'm sorry, I want
I
to make sure.
completely agree with you.
It's January 22nd. Or, no, the 20th, the first one in January.
First one, January
Yeah.
8th. section, so Craig,
On section 3.
so Jacob, you motion to,
I guess out of section 3 that says that the moratorium will be rescinded once,
if and when,
when zoning legislation is addressed.
Ordinance 2609 passes.
Okay, we could do that. Okay.
so, this ordinance will automatically,
Will automatically be repealed upon the passage of ordinance 26-09.
automatically
You move that.
repeal if and when, or once?
Once.
Ordinance, 2609
Ordinance 2609 is passed.
is passed. Craig, sorry.
He motioned, I'll second.
Oh, okay. So we have a motion by Jacob and a second by Craig to amend ordinance 2601 to include section 3. Ordinance will automatically be repealed once ordinance 2609 is passed. Roll call, please.
Brown.
Aye.
Hany.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Simmons.
Ordinance 2601 has been amended. Craig?
Move to adopt amended ordinance 2601.
I'll second. That's motion by Craig and second by myself to pass amended ordinance 2601. Any other discussion?
I did, but I was just given the prior conversations that have been had more recently. What's the purpose of doing the moratorium if you've got legislation in place to start the process?
Well, it's just to ensure what we're Craig.
All right, we're looking at maybe 60 days. And so.
I heard a week about something, maybe, I can't remember. But I'm all mixed up about something.
No, I'm talking about we're looking at
Okay,
like 60 days that it could be unaddressed with zoning. I understand your concern, but
I kind of thought that we were going to invite Vertiv, who is our largest.
We did invite him.
When was that?
3 times.
3 times.
Jacob Ritchie.
Yeah, I reached out to him. I never really heard anything back.
All right, so I got a motion by Craig and a second by Jacob, motion by Craig and a second by myself to adopt amended ordinance 2601. Roll call, please.
Brown.
Aye.
Hany.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye.
Hawk.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Simmons.
Amended ordinance 2601 has been adopted. Moving along to resolutions, there are none. Miscellaneous, Bobby?
I had a question about the city's demolition fund and maybe Mr. Anderson can speak into this. I guess I was under the impression that fund could be used by the city to demo properties that we acquired or that we had ownership of. Didn't realize that fund could be used to demo property owned by private investors. Could somebody speak more into that? That predates me, so my knowledge.
That money is used for, 2 purposes: condemned property, and the way the city can go about it is through structural. Mark Dix can speak more to it. Or sometimes that money is also used by the fire department for fires, and then that demolition money is paid out, and sometimes, in some cases, reimbursed back through the insurance.
I was recently made aware that we allocated funds for the demolition of the Bentley Pharmacy building, which is owned by a private investor. So that caught me off guard, and so I was hoping I could hear more on how that mechanism happened, or how that happens, and well,
John?
It's condemned.
I can't imagine that happened.
it did. Okay, Mark Dickinson for me today.
Did this council allocate funds?
The mayor. was hoping he
That's all I know about that also. I was the signature on that, and was told that this needed to be paid, and I said, has it been authorized? Yes, it's been authorized by the mayor, and he had signed off on it, so there's money in the accounts.
My concern with that is, which I'll ask the mayor now. My concern is, I just hate seeing tax dollars spent to subsidize private investment, all for private investment, but at the cost of private investors. So later I was asking about the funds that were utilized for the demolition of the Bentley Pharmacy building, and if maybe I could be pointed in the direction of the legislation that allows that to be spent on for private investment versus condemned properties or properties that the city owns.
Most properties we have demolition are not have properties. And so that's what it's worth for demolition.
Do we have a reference on the legislation? Because, I searched briefly. I didn't have time to dig into it.
I don't know if the fund has legislation. I don't know how far back that fund was created.
I don't know. I can't speak for the rest of the council. That doesn't sit well with me because it's a for-profit venture by a real estate developer who stands to gain from that investment. And I don't think it's our place to subsidize that because that ultimately comes at the cost of taxpayers. And so I don't know what we can do. I'd be happy to sponsor legislation to restrict those funds to only be used by property owned by the city. I'd also be interested in knowing if that was legally permissible in the first place.
We're not going to be tearing our own stuff down.
Well, I'm saying if we acquire property that's, which I know the land bank.
That's how we acquire it.
But if we acquired it,
we assess the properties for the demolition costs, then we take them if that's not paid off.
Yeah, but we have to be able to have funds to do that before we assess it, right?
That's what funds those are.
Right. My confusion is why we would demo a privately owned property.
That's the only, to my understanding, those are the only properties we demo is somebody that's has neglected. I may be wrong, Mark.
Condemned properties.
Right.
I mean, my understanding of the statute you're referring to, the ordinance, is condemned properties only. So I don't know what.
Is there an ordinance that says condemned properties only?
Well, it's condemned.
It just says demolition fund. So this was a demolition.
Yeah, I can pull it up there.
Yeah, I guess.
Does it say the demolition fund is for only condemned?
Yeah, there's an ordinance, right, Nate, that we did several years ago that established it.
As far as
the demolition fund is always
restricting those funds in the demolition fund, I'm 100% not sure.
Correct.
But that's like the money set aside for that for dilapidated condemned property, fires, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think there's one other caveat to that. We did something with the fire department, and they requested legislation that got us reimbursed for demolitions that.
That's a different fund.
Yeah,
I don't. Fire laws.
State fire laws.
What fund are we talking about?
Yeah.
It's in the general fund.
Which fund?
Public services, right? Or public code enforcement, maybe?
I think, just a second.
The demolition fund's outside the general fund.
I mean, does anyone disagree that it wasn't dilapidated or needed tore down?
I just like the idea of demoing buildings for the land bank and then selling that property to benefit our residents instead of private. I understand where Robbie's coming from there.
Yeah, my concern is, I agree, I think it should have been torn down years ago if we were going to do it, rather than at the moment that a investor purchases it and then we spend $40,000 to demo it. Because at that point, we're essentially giving that purchaser a $40,000 discount on their acquisition of the property. And then it becomes a lot of discretion on what private investors do receive those funds, or receive those discounts essentially, versus who does not. And so that's the part that I think we need to address.
Demolition fund is Fund 53. The state fire laws is Fund 56. generally where something has been burnt that is turned into insurance. After we receive payment, the fire department goes out and inspects it to make sure that it is cleaned up to city standards, then we release the funds on it.
These funds he's talking about are Fund 53, correct?
Yes, correct.
I'll have to look into it, but I will give you an answer.
Would that be more of a strategic planning or an industrial commercial conversation, or I know there's some gray area. I think it'd probably be more strategic planning. I don't know. I was gonna say, I'm industrial, I'd be happy to call it a commercial and industrial committee meeting before our next council meeting to dive into this further, so we can all have a little bit of time to research that and discuss that. But
that would probably be strategic planning, I'd say.
Yeah, because
it affects more than commercial and industrial. In this regard, it was used for commercial and industrial. But I guess the other option is, can I call a council of the whole to discuss that at some point? I mean, it has to be supported, but I can't call strategic planning because I don't chair strategic planning.
I mean, we can, but you have to work with everybody. So I'd rather be at a strategic planning like prior to a meeting, so.
If Jacob would call that, I'd be
Or, I guess you could trust them.
Are you on the strategic? No.
Can anyone on the strategic planning?
Two of the members or the chairman.
I'd be happy to call that if there's another member.
It's you.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I was thinking.
Sorry. I knew I didn't share
I
it.
just think maybe I can be there.
I've got Spider-Man costume.
Yeah.
So,
What are you guys looking at?
be the 26th, maybe, do you need a finance committee?
I need a CIC meeting.
CIC.
I probably will need a finance meeting.
Okay.
Sure.
Jacob, is there another day of the week that would work better for you than a Thursday as an option?
The CIC might get hand in hand.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Okay.
you know, that's.
So I'll call for
What time do we?
5 p.m.
Do we already call that?
No, I was getting ready to call
Okay, because we talked about calling prior to this, right?
it. John said I had to call a week, at least a week beforehand.
Okay.
I didn't make it to this one.
CIC first, or?
We can do CIC first, because there's a piece of property owned by CIC.
Okay. What's the
Demolition fund.
thing, 5 or 5:15 is enough
I
time?
think now my property, but what is it?
5 or
I'd
5:15?
say 5 to be safe.
Well, we'll do that. Let's do CIC at 5.
Okay.
Whatever you're doing, immediately following, and then
Finance following that.
I'll call finance separate whenever I get with John. It'll probably be a short budget movement.
So, that would be an organizational meeting for CIC, right? Is it? It doesn't matter what we call it,
So,
right?
we got that.
Okay.
We'll do another.
Does it matter what we call it for though? Does the purpose of the meeting? No, just a regular. So we're gonna, call a CIC meeting for Thursday, the 26th at 5 o'clock in council chambers, regular meeting. Rob, go ahead.
Can I add?
Yes, Nate, sorry.
Mark, can you make that meeting, the CIC meeting at 5 o'clock on the 26th? Because you're gonna be nominated as our newest board member.
Should be able to. Okay.
Thank you.
Robbie.
And I would like to call, Ms. Simmons and I would like to call strategic planning committee meeting to follow the CIC meeting.
Immediately following council chambers. So strategic planning, if you don't care, send that in an email for me, please.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And the finance after that.
And then Nate will probably
I'll
call
call
that
it
separate. All right, are we good on that topic? Any other miscellaneous? Craig?
Just want to make mention that, I told the superintendent of the schools that I would come address that they have a policy about, sex offenders and their discretion, and that I would come address the school board about their policy. and I'm gonna do that on their next meeting, which is on the 23rd. And I'm telling you all because I don't want you all to show up and us discuss city business and there be more than two of us. So. And Nate said he wanted to go.
I actually asked Craig if I could go with
So I'm trying to dissuade you all from going.
Copy that.
unless there's somebody else that has no school business.
You got it right, Ed. I spent enough time in there. Good on that? Everybody good? I do have, I've got a couple things. Next cleanup date is, March 17th through the 21st, and those times are 8 to, what, Mayor?
8:30 to 5.
8:30 to 5.
Starts on a Tuesday to allow for people to work for a week.
Tuesday through Saturday, correct?
Saturday.
Tuesday through Saturday, thank you. I do also have a quick update. I may or may not be biased here, but do want to recognize the Ironton junior high basketball programs. 8th grade finished undefeated, won the league and the tournament. 7th grade finished second in both. Both had phenomenal years, so I think those young gentlemen were have some type of recognition. Craig,
The junior high girls also won a couple games this year. That's a step
Hey,
up from just FYI.
they improved. They did well. I'm proud of all of our junior high basketball programs. So, thank you for that. Are we still in executive session?
Yes.
I would like to request an executive session with Finance Director, Mayor, Solicitor, Council regarding contracts with no action followed. Nate, second. A motion by myself and second by Nate to enter executive session with no action followed. Roll call, please.
Brown.
Aye.
Hany.
Aye.
Harvey.
Aye. Sorry.
Hawk.
Aye.
Klein.
Aye.
Spot.
Aye.
Simmons. Aye.
We are now entering executive